You must come to this play at the Hollywood Fringe Festival because it is an original play and it is talking about all these deep human themes about the veteran experience that will change your life. You will be opened up by their stories. These are real stories of real veterans that we've put together to showcase and highlight their experience. These stories actually happened. And that's what makes it so unique. That's what makes it so important for you to come see because sometimes you'll come to a play that the story's moving, but it was created in the world of the writer. It's created in the world of Eugene O'Neill or Tennessee Williams or Shakespeare or Harold Pinter, whomever, and it's there and it's brilliant, and it's characters that are living in those circumstances, and they're fictional. The circumstances that are described in our play are real. It's based on truth. That these stories happen. And that's what makes it so unique. And when you hear that, it resonates so deeply on a deeper level that it will be changed by it. You will come out of this having a greater appreciation of what the veteran experience is and what it means to be human in some very extreme circumstances.
I think they should, because I think people should go to our play because it's telling a story that you're not going to be getting from a action film or from the media, the journalism, and it's using creativity to show you the inner lives of military characters, some who've been in horrific battles and others, and how they've tried to cope with it and how they've survived up until 2021 anyway. My name is Paul Hohenzeidler. I am the adapter, writer, director of We Got Your Six, and we are Lightning Rod Theater, and we make it our passion to give you a theater experience that you won't get from anyone else. We will always be lightning rods. And see you in the theater, and see you at the Hollywood Fringe too.
My name is Charlie Pacello, co-director, producer, and actor in the upcoming Lightning Rod Theater Productions play, We Got Your Six, that's coming up in the Hollywood Fringe Festival 2023 this June. You want to come see this play. It is a must. You must come see this play. We are going to be on stage Friday, June 23rd, 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, June 24th, 1 p.m. Those are our shows for the We Got Your Six. Please schedule it into your calendars. You're going to want to see this production. The actors are amazing. It is such a privilege to be working with them. You will be touched by these stories. These stories come from the very experiences of veterans who were there in Afghanistan and who had incredible experiences that are going to change you. They're going to open your heart. So come and see this show. We Got Your Six at the Hollywood Fringe Festival 2023. If you want to learn more information about this upcoming production, watch this video now. The reason we wanted to bring this project why we wanted to do this project and why we wanted to bring it to the Fringe is twofold. One of the things that I do when I'm not doing theater is I'm working with and helping people with PTSD and trauma to overcome their pain from, whether it's war, child abuse, domestic violence, rape, refugees, incarceration, helping people to heal from their traumas and being able to overcome those past pains so that they could live the life they were meant to live. And one of the things that I was studying and working on was how do we utilize theater to be a vehicle for healing? How do we enable to use this ancient technology, this that had been used by these ancient Greeks so long ago, that helped their society and their communities to purge their toxic emotions from the wars and conflicts that they had? How do we relate that to the modern day? How do we incorporate that in our very modern technological, materialistic, commercial world that doesn't seem to see that these things correlate? And so I worked with a couple of nonprofit organizations. One was called the Mindful Warrior Project. We brought mindfulness practices down to veterans on Skid Row. And it was there that we did a couple projects that were bringing theater to these veterans down on Skid Row. That here they were in hell. If anybody's been to Skid Row in Los Angeles, one of the most heartbreaking places in our country. It's just devastating. Lots of drugs, lots of violence going on down there. And so we came to bring some help and healing to the veterans that were living there. And those that did our program had some remarkable results. And we did a couple theater shows. It was Gail Sofer, who was who I worked with in that project, and we did some theater projects, and the veterans were very responsive. They had these breakthroughs, and they were in one time. I was developing a program where I was taking a veteran story and learning how to identify the archetypal elements of their story and putting it onto the stage. And I took this veteran story, developed it, and then performed it before them down there at Skid Row. And this was a very complicated story, a lot of trauma, a lot of horrible trauma. And I ended up performing it before these 9 veterans that were there. And these are crusty old veterans, hard life. And the veteran whose story I was doing, he was like holding on to his chair and was ready to bolt out of the auditorium or out of the cafeteria where we were performing this, so that, if it got too rough on him. And so I performed it, and when I got done, every man was crying in there. Every man was crying. They were embracing each other. They were holding each other. They were saying, "Oh my gosh, you are helping our souls. You are saving our souls." And the man whose story he said, you screamed out loud what I have been screaming inside my whole life. And so you saw this cathartic purging that was happening for these men. The other thing is I worked with an organization called Soldier's Heart with Dr. Edward Tick and Kate Dahlstedt. Worked with them for many, many years, learning how the holistic process and how to help veterans heal without having to resort to medications or psychotropic medications to help them get through it, to help them identify their wounds and move through it. And one of the things that I studied I went to Greece 3 times with Dr. Tick, learning about the ancient Greek tradition, about how to apply this, how to use theater in a way that again begins to help identify those deeper wounds in their psyche, in their emotional life, and how to present that on this stage and how effective it is, and learning those techniques. And Soldier's Heart enabled me to be able to work with many veterans doing this kind of work. I did a healing retreat back in 2021 up in Montana, where I worked with veterans there, some combat veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. And we dove into some theater work at that retreat, where they dove into a play called Heracles Gone Mad, which was one of Euripides' plays. And to see them open up, these were some of them were suicidal, suffering from, and they reading the play and breaking the script down and really opened them up in ways that was just incredible. It was incredible to see them all of a sudden. There had this revelation, this understanding. They were really, and it would have been, we we broke these script down in ways better than some of the actors that I have used or worked with before, because they understood that the dynamics that were happening for those characters because of their war experiences. So with all that background, that's the reason why we're doing this show. We Got Your Six. It's called We Got Your Six, and it is about covering your back. I got your back. That's what We Got Your Six is, because I got your back. You got my back, and when you're in war, you're relying on your buddy to cover your back, because you're getting, when you're in a combat situation, you're getting fire from cuts coming from all different directions, and you got to know that your buddy, man or woman, has got you. That they're gonna help you to get home again. And so that's why we're doing this show. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different veteran stories. It's based on a lot of truthful stories that are woven together into a theatrical narrative. One of my veteran friends, he has a nonprofit organization called Bullets and Band-Aids. And what he does, he served in Afghanistan. He collects individual stories of these veterans, has a writer write down the story, about 4 pages, and then has an artist paint an image from their experience. It might be boots on the ground. It might be dog tags. It might be a nuclear explosion, whatever it may be. And then he has a walking tour going down in South Carolina, Georgia area where he lives. So he gave us permission to look at some of the stories, and we extracted some of the stories and have brought it to the stage. Ones that were very compelling, that we felt were going to do exactly what we're to evoke those feelings in people, to help them to understand the veteran experience on a very personal level, and to see how that veteran experience impacts them when they return home. Because that they're changed by the experience when they go out into the field, when they go out into combat, and when they come home. It's really difficult for people to get back into feeling like, I belong to this society, I belong to this community. And so we want to share these kinds of stories. We want to be able to help veterans, or give them the opportunity to share these stories in meaningful ways, so that they can reconnect to the community that they serve, and that the community can understand what they do. And hopefully it helps to achieve that catharsis and cleansing that is so needed by our veteran community.
My partner in Lightning Rod Theater, Charlie Pacello, is a veteran, and he's dealt with some PTSD issues. His father was a veteran who's dealt with lots of PTSD issues. And we've always, since we founded the company back in 2009, 2010, we've always had that component that we were going to, and Charlie's done a lot of research on how theater can be used, and the catharsis of theater can be used as a therapy tool for vets. And, the thing is, the earliest playwrights were all veterans. Aeschylus, Euripides, they had all fought in wars. And one of the reasons theater started was to tell the civilian populace about the war, about the trauma of killing other people. And even though we're being cheered as we come back, there's a lot of pain involved with that too. So we have done, I would say a good number of shows on a military theme. Back in 2014, we did a show called Woof Woof, which was about a Iraqi war vet with a traumatic brain injury coming back home. And then Charlie has been getting involved. There's a real interesting network of small theaters, small veteran support groups. And while he had his radio show on in Denver, he was meeting and interviewing a lot of people. We've got the idea about having vets write monologues, and then we would have actors read them in a workshop production. And that was the first volume of We Got Your Six, which was about a year ago. And then after that was done, I realized we could take some of these monologues and kind of fit them into a narrative about Afghanistan and its aftermath, and have a really great, tight 1 hour ensemble piece about it. And so I started adapting. I adapted and I added a couple of the narratives. Others are written by some of the vets. Some of those has some of the original narrative by the vets. So it's like adapted by me and directed by me, and written, or the stories by me and the other vets, including an anonymous one. So
the main story in the arc of the play is it takes place in two times. The moment that when Kabul fell. So just a couple of years ago, I think it was when Kabul fell. The Afghan, or excuse me, the Taliban were overrunning the airport. There was a lot of Marines that were there that got killed. So it's that moment when the Marines from this same company that we are a part of, that they lost some men and women. And so each of these characters, there's 7 characters that are touched by this moment because it's that company that they served in. And once they hear the news of what's going on in Kabul, the explosions, the loss of life, the detonation, it brings them back in a flashback to the moment that all of them are united together in this really vicious battle in the Afghanistan war, where they were all together and had to deal with taking someone who hit a landmine and an IED blew up and he lost both of his legs, and how this moment changed everyone. How this moment where all of them were impacted in trying to get this Marine out, and how they had to do it, and the intensity of the combat, the intensity of the firefight as they were extracting this Marine to get him to safety. And then there's a little storyline in addition to that it would absolutely 100% happen. There was a child or children that were involved. They got hit by fire, and what happened after that. And so we're weaving all of these stories together to bring the sense of the intensity of combat that these veterans face, and then moving back out to their present day moment and the revelations that they feel when they realize that everything that they had done was for nothing. So
it is, the present moment of the play is August 26, 2021. The moment of the bombings at Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, when 13 Marines were killed by 2 suicide bombers. And the 7 cast members in the play are all out of the military by now. And they're at the moment when they all find out about the bombings. One guy is going back to school shopping with his kids. Another one is homeless and living outside the VA on San Vicente Boulevard. And, you know, there's a wide variety of everything. And the captain of the little Marine unit is trying to get their interpreter out of Afghanistan. He's driven a long way to a State Department office in North Carolina, and has gotten there and found out that there's no one in the office. They've all been pulled to come back to DC to deal with all the visa applications. And so then we go from there back into a brutal firefight their unit had with the Taliban in 2011. And then we come back out again. It felt like a really good piece for the Fringe because it was ensemble, it was actors, and an audience have to use their imagination. Everyone's dressed as they were on that day, 2021, but you have to follow the actors and their imagination, and using the audience member has to use their imagination, go back to 2021, to rural Afghanistan, to a little village where they got into a brutal firefight with the Taliban. And since you could, that worked a lot better in Fringe. You didn't need a big elaborate set. which you can't have in the Fringe anyway. You have to do it by lighting and story, acting, and ensemble work. So I thought that was great for the Fringe.
The actors that we have for our show are absolutely incredible. I mean, we are so lucky, so blessed that each of them brings their unique gifts and talents to these characters. I mean, we have a gentleman who's playing Sergeant Stores, who's tremendous. Combat Corpsman de Rivera, who's going to be our medic, who really dives into the emotional life of what it means to have to deal and hold somebody's life in your hand. Farhad is our translator. So many Afghan combat support personnel were the Afghans themselves that were our translators, were the ones that we relied on and depended upon to keep our men alive. And so many veterans will connect and understand how important they were, that if we didn't have these translators, if we didn't have these people, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have survived. We wouldn't have gotten through. And then the agony of not being able to get them back. The feelings like we betrayed them because we've made promises that we were going to take care of them, and now we can't do what we promised them to do. So our country made a liar out of me. So the gentleman who is playing Farhad, he's a tremendous actor who brings to life this complexity of them having to choose the United States and our NATO allies over perhaps the Taliban. And now that the Taliban has left, or we have left and the Taliban are there, he's left to face those consequences. Corporal Kimbrell, all right, he's the one who loses his legs and who has to face this new reality. And the actor who's portraying him, his depth, his sensitivity is remarkable. Private Geardo, this is the guy who's going to be, who's on edge all the time. Who's you want him in those firefights, but he's a little bit, he can lose it at any moment, trying to keep him together. The gentleman who's playing him is remarkable. And our last actress, she plays Lieutenant Jessica, who's our fighter pilot, our helicopter pilot who comes in. She's fantastic cast. And each of these characters, the way they bring it, their commitment to the work, it is a joy and an honor to be working with them. I'm playing Captain Lindsay. He's the one in charge of the whole unit during this epic fight that they end up having, and how he had to navigate the difficulties of the firefight, and also how to be able to ameliorate the situation when the children are involved with the villagers. And so it's a cast that is complete and amazing. Our support team, we have, Paul Hohenzeiler, who's the writer. He's a brilliant writer. He's the one who is able to pull all of these stories together into making it into his writing is incredible. And he's directing it as well. Anita Lee, she's our publicist, and we are promoting it out there. And so we've got a great team that's really pushing it out there and helping to get to make this the best theater experience possible for anyone and everyone who comes.
I mean, I got to talk about Charlie first, because Charlie has been a lot of, he's a vet. I mean, I've seen him dealing with his PTSD and his, the problems he's had with it, with his father. It's great having someone there who's dealt with PTSD, who's counseled with PTSD, and knowing how hard and how long the road back is into civilian life for some vets. Then, because I've been reading, I was reading pieces of this at Naked Angels Tuesdays at 9. And from there, we picked up Derek Ocampo, who's playing a combat corpsman, and Brittany DeLynn, who is playing a lieutenant helicopter pilot who's flying medical evacuations in Afghanistan. Also, I had met him in Tuesdays at 9 back in a few years ago. Christopher Wood is playing the sergeant in the unit. Really great actor. Then, you're reaching out, because we needed someone to play the interpreter, and we'd had from an actress who was Indian, she recommended Muin Jahan to play our interpreter character. He's doing a great job. And then we knew Demetrius from previous shows we had with him. We knew that he could handle the loose, the trigger happy, the little bit bloodthirsty Marine in the company. And then Cameron Gregg, we were looking for someone who plays to play a wounded vet, and Muin recommended him. I had met Cameron before, probably around at Water Village Theater, but I used to go to 70 shows a year sometimes, and I know I've met people before, but I just don't remember where I met them from. So, but yeah, I think our cast is great. We've really, in the last couple of rehearsals, started to get that feel of where you're putting on something that's greater than the sum of its parts, and I hope we can grow that.
I want the audience to come out of this play production having a greater sense of what the veteran experience is all about. There's only about less than 1% of the population that serves. There's only less than 1% of the population of the United States that hears the call to serve their country. And it's that less than 1% that is willing to die for others that they don't even know of, to give them the freedoms that they take for granted. And so we want to be able to hopefully that you come away with a greater appreciation of the challenges, of the moral dilemmas that these men and women go through all the time, that they are forced to face with, and that there's a lot of gray area there, that sometimes it's not all black and white. It's not that, when you're in those kind of situations, you have to do things that you don't want to do, or you have to face things that you didn't know you would have to face. And it leaves you haunted. It can leave you with haunting memories, painful memories of, I could have done better, or I should have done better. I wish I would have done better. And these veterans that carry these deep wounds, these emotional and psychological wounds, that they come back into the communities, and they're changed by what happened to them, and they don't know how to fit in. They might feel like a bad person inside, a monster inside, someone who's not worthy to be a part. They've got something that's unforgivable inside. They did something that was so bad, and had they not been in that experience, they wouldn't have had to make that choice. And so helping to open people's heart to that compassion for what they go through, that's what I hope that we give to our audiences, that you can just get a glimpse of that sense of their humanness too, that they didn't, a lot of times they had to do things that they didn't want to do, and they deserve to be welcomed back and embraced and appreciated for the sacrifices that they made, and to help our society and community better, to make better choices, to make better decisions. If we're learning about our stories, their stories, they no longer have to carry it on their own. We carry it for them. And then we make better decisions. We understand the sacrifices. And then they feel like they're a part of the community again. And so that's what I hope we can accomplish. That's what I hope.
Hollywood tends to give us just this one narrative of the vet recovering from PTSD, and there's a lot of variety in it. And there's also, some vets who handle it pretty well. I think also it's, while there is violence and a firefight in this play, there's no pyrotechnics or anything. It exists in the memory of the characters from 10 years before, and that there's the way Hollywood presents, and the films present a battle, which is really spectacular, and I love that stuff. You can have a really great battle scene, and it's just amazing. It's very effective. But there's also the interior story of a battle, and I hoping that we get that on stage, And I hope that if the audience comes to see this, they will come out of the theater, pat us on the back, and tell us we have.
When I'm performing live, I'm looking forward to just being on that stage. I'm looking forward to just getting on that stage and feeling that, sensing the audience out there and the electricity that happens, and all of a sudden you get that nervousness that comes up, all of that preparation, all of that time, and you're out there and it's there. You don't get to to rehearse anymore. You're out there, you're performing, you're in the moment. The choices you make are right now, and there's no going back. And there's something exhilarating about that from a performer standpoint. And when I get on stage, personally, something inside of me lights up when I come on that stage. When I step on that stage, I'm just something lights up in me, and I'm it's like I'm no longer encased or closed in by life. I'm freed up to be an aspect of me to come alive. And so that to me is just the thrill of being on stage, and knowing that the audience is out there, and feeling that exhilaration that comes. That's what I look forward to.
I'm looking for the audience to be really involved, that no one's kind of like moving in their seat a little bit. I don't. I almost always sit in the back row, often because I'm also doing the house that night, and so I can help anyone who's coming in late. For me, it's just like, is the audience involved? Have they felt a experience different from any that they've had before? Though that's one of the reasons I think I went out and founded, Charlie and I went out and founded Lightning Round, was to tell stories and to tell and to do things on stage that we weren't seeing being done in other theaters, by other theaters, in American drama, and not in film or television either.
I think people will be surprised at the capacity of our humanness to be able to be seen even in the worst of conditions. I think that they will be surprised to see the incredible heroism that goes unnoticed by people that are just doing ordinary things. That these individual heroic actions that save lives that people don't know about. We tend to elevate people that tend to be nothing against celebrities, but they tend to elevate celebrities, tend to elevate sports figures, politicians, and in the military, you elevate generals, you elevate your commanding officers, but those ordinary folks, those sergeants, those Marines, those privates, those young officers, that there's heroic stories that happen that you just, it'll blow your mind, and it'll give you such an appreciation of that, what people do that nobody ever hears about. And so I think that that's what's going to surprise people about this show. And also, when tragedy happens, our ability to overcome that tragedy collectively is really remarkable. When you're about to lose a man, how every moment counts. Every moment of that sequence counts, because it's a matter of life and death. And I think that will catch people like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize we had that capacity to do that.
I think that how internal the fight, or how internal a battle is, or a firefight is, when military personnel are involved. That there's moments where they're just filled with adrenaline and all that, but then there's other characters who are kind of retrospective about it as it's happening. They're recording and they're trying to understand what's going on, and I think that's probably one of the most interesting things we're doing.
You must come to this play at the Hollywood Fringe Festival because it is an original play and it is talking about all these deep human themes about the veteran experience that will change your life. You will be opened up by their stories. These are real stories of real veterans that we've put together to showcase and highlight their experience. These stories actually happened. And that's what makes it so unique. That's what makes it so important for you to come see because sometimes you'll come to a play that the story's moving, but it was created in the world of the writer. It's created in the world of Eugene O'Neill or Tennessee Williams or Shakespeare or Harold Pinter, whomever, and it's there and it's brilliant, and it's characters that are living in those circumstances, and they're fictional. The circumstances that are described in our play are real. It's based on truth. That these stories happen. And that's what makes it so unique. And when you hear that, it resonates so deeply on a deeper level that it will be changed by it. You will come out of this having a greater appreciation of what the veteran experience is and what it means to be human in some very extreme circumstances.
I think they should, because I think people should go to our play because it's telling a story that you're not going to be getting from a action film or from the media, the journalism, and it's using creativity to show you the inner lives of military characters, some who've been in horrific battles and others, and how they've tried to cope with it and how they've survived up until 2021 anyway.
Well, I think the reason why people must come to the Fringe Festival is because there's so many incredible shows that are going on there that will allow you to get an idea of the depth of talent, creativity, and incredible artists that live in the Los Angeles area. I mean, come and see our show and then come and see all of the other shows. There are many different performing groups that are going to be there that are congregating for this Hollywood Fringe Festival that only happens in June. And it only happens for this one period of time where people from all these different walks of life are coming to perform for you. And so it is a must thing because you're going to get to see a whole variety of different groups and talents coming together to celebrate creativity. You want to be immersed and drenched in creativity? Then come to the Hollywood Fringe Festival because you're going to be drenched in creativity that expands your mind, expands your heart, and hopefully at the same time what we want to do for our show is that it changes you and transforms you as well. So that's why you got to come.
Fringe is just, like I said, it's a carnival of theater and creativity, and there are so many really great rides to go on in the Fringe. And every year I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get to go on every ride I wanted to go on because there's just too many. So there's a lot of stuff that would appeal to you, whatever your taste is, but because it's not that expensive, you're not paying $75 for a ticket or $100 for a ticket. There's other stuff that maybe between two shows, check out another show that you don't think might not be something you would normally see, but now you've got the time. It's not going to break your bank. Go and see that other show.
Well, the Hollywood Fringe Festival is, it's part and parcel with, in that Hollywood area where you have the BIPOC community and the LGBTQ community that's there. All of these different communities that are there that have supported us in our work since we formed our theater company. And we have, constantly worked together. They have supported us. They have supported our shows. We've hired so many of them to bring their gifts and talents onto our productions. And so it's just, it's, a reciprocal relationship. It's a reciprocity to come here and support the community as well. After COVID, after the pandemic, we all suffered. Small theaters suffered. 99-cent theater really suffered. There are a lot of theater companies had to close. A lot of theater companies couldn't function the way they did before in order to be able to, do quality productions. So coming to see the shows at the Hollywood Fringe, you help support not only us, but the BIPOC community, the LGBTQ community, and our veteran community, which is the communities who support us. By supporting us, you support them, and by supporting them, you support the whole community. And so that's one of the things that's why it's so important for you to come.
There are a lot of really creative people in Los Angeles, and that's always surprises me. Like back when I was an Ovation voter and I was seeing, 2 or 3 shows a week, even the most mundane production of a Hamlet play, that wasn't really the production was not interesting. There were always 2 or 3 actors who were just awesome, and it kind of breaks your heart that there are so many great creative people in this town whose work aren't being seen. And I think you can go, if they're participating in the Fringe, it's a great place to go see them, support them, give them that creative confirmation that we're all looking for.
One of my hopes and dreams for the future of this play production, to be able to take this around the country to different cities and locations and to produce it there in front of other veteran communities so that they can see and resonate with what's being performed, and to be able to allow them to experience theater the way it can be experienced, that sense of community, connection, communal grief, that sense of being able to mourn together our wounds that we've experienced, and then allow them to be able to share their experiences after the show is done, where we do a talk back, where we can allow them to, process what they saw, what they heard, because a show like this inevitably is going to open up people who have had those experiences. And so giving them permission, because it's opened them up, giving them permission afterwards to be able to speak about it, talk about it, grieve about it, mourn, having people around and available there. That's what I see. I think it could be an enormously powerful and theatrical and healing experience for people. And if we could take it around the country, that's the idea. So that's what I see. I want to see it. I want to see this in other productions where we're taking this project. The idea is to be able to develop other stories as well with the We Got Your Six project, so that we're constantly, renewing it, revitalizing it with new stories, sharing it, so that we keep bringing veteran stories out onto the stage.
It's going to be, in one way or another, a yearly thing for us if we can get the ball rolling. And we're also doing the goal right now is to get to the point where we're doing a Fringe show, a full run production, and then we're having our lightning in a bottle theater play development process. And so probably next year, We Got Your Six will be volume 3, I think. That'll be a workshop with actors reading monologues written by vets. And it's without, knowing your financials, you don't really know what you can do from year to year. So it's going to be, We Got Your Six is going to be a yearly thing for us. Whether it's going to be going into another Fringe show, full-length show, something like that, we don't know yet. But next year will definitely be, we're going to have a workshop with monologues written by vets, performed by actors, like we had last year. And then hopefully we'll get enough money together to put on a full-length show. So then, yay, go Lightning Rod Theater.
I think Lightning Rod Theater was founded, by Paul and I back in 2009. It was an idea that we had together, and now we're like 15 years in or something like that, and we keep going. And our productions are always about trying to, push the leading edge, create incredible content, and also to help our veteran communities, LGBTQ community, and BIPOC community. So your support in our theater company is really, really would be very helpful. So please support our work, lightningrodtheater.com.
Lightning Rod Theater has been around. I mean, as the elephant kind of faded away, we started putting it together. And we've been here for a while, and we've been small. We've been like doing our thing, and we're trying to get to that next level where it's, like I said, a full-length show and a fringe show, and then a development process, a couple of development workshops every year. And that's kind of like the next level for us. For that, though, we're going to need a lot of support, and we would really appreciate it if you saw the Lightning Rod theater show, if you saw someone mention about it in publicity or something, if you come by and check us out. My name is Paul Hohenzeidler. I am the adapter, writer, director of We Got Your Six, and we are Lightning Rod Theater, and we make it our passion to give you a theater experience that you won't get from anyone else. We will always be lightning rods. And see you in the theater, and see you at the Hollywood Fringe too.
My name is Charlie Pacello, co-director, producer, and actor in the upcoming Lightning Rod Theater Productions play, We Got Your Six, that's coming up in the Hollywood Fringe Festival 2023 this June. You want to come see this play? It is a must. You must come see this play. We are going to be on stage Friday, June 23rd, 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, June 24th, 1 p.m. Those are our shows for the We Got Your Six. Please schedule it into your calendars. You're going to want to see this production. The actors are amazing. It is such a privilege to be working with them. You will be touched by these stories. These stories come from the very experiences of veterans who were there in Afghanistan and who had incredible experiences that are going to change you. They're going to open your heart. So come and see this show. We Got Your Six at the Hollywood Fringe Festival 2023.